The Middle East is once again on edge. On October 2, 2025, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps issued a stark warning: any attack on Iran would be met with even deadlier force. The IRGC named Tel Aviv and Haifa as potential targets, making their threat unmistakably clear. This message coincided with the anniversary of Iran's major missile attack on Israel in 2024, a reminder that direct conflict is no longer just a threat, but a reality. Iran's missiles, with a range of up to 2,000 kilometers, put all of Israel within reach, shifting the region's strategic balance. The era of shadow wars, spies, cyber attacks, and proxy militias has given way to open, state-on-state confrontation. The threat to Tel Aviv and Haifa is not empty rhetoric. It's backed by proven military capability. Diplomats scramble to de-escalate, but Iran's public warnings make peace elusive. For Israelis, especially in the cities named, the fear of a massive missile strike is now a daily reality. The international community faces a powder keg, with Iran's latest message shortening the fuse. The question is no longer if, but when, the next spark will ignite the region. The world holds its breath as the stakes rise higher than ever. To understand Iran's threats, we must look back at a year of escalating violence. The crisis ignited with Iran's unprecedented missile barrage on Israel in October 2024. 180 missiles launched in direct retaliation for a series of assassinations. Key figures linked to Iran, including Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and Hezbollah's Hassan Nasrallah, were killed, with Iran blaming Israel. The missile attack was Iran's message: it could strike back, overwhelming even Israel's famed Iron Dome. Some missiles broke through, causing real damage and shattering Israel's sense of invulnerability. For Iran, this was a strategic victory, proving its willingness and capability to engage in direct conflict. The tit-for-tat escalations, assassinations followed by missile strikes, created a cycle of violence. Israel, having suffered a direct attack, shifted to a more aggressive strategy. Each side saw itself as responding to the other's aggression, making a larger war almost inevitable. The region slid toward open conflict, culminating in the devastating 12-day war just months later. The Shadow War had become a direct, high-stakes confrontation. The events of 2024 set the stage for a new era of instability. The world watched as the Middle East edged closer to all-out war. The consequences would soon be felt by millions. In June 2025, tensions erupted into the 12-day war, a brief but brutal conflict. Israel launched deep airstrikes into Iran, targeting nuclear facilities and military infrastructure. Supported by American refueling tankers, Israeli jets struck at the heart of Iran's strategic assets. Iran's response was immediate and fierce. Waves of ballistic and cruise missiles targeted Israel. This time, Iranian missiles breached Israeli defenses, hitting critical sites like the Haifa oil refinery and military bases. The psychological impact in Israel was profound. The sense of security was shattered. The conflict quickly drew in the United States as Iran struck the Al Udeid air base in Qatar, a bold move against a key American installation. The U.S. was forced to use a quarter of its advanced missile interceptors to defend its assets and ally. Proxy forces like Hezbollah and the Houthis remained largely inactive, suggesting Iran was saving them for a longer conflict. The 12-day war showcased the deadly capabilities of both sides and left the region teetering on the edge of catastrophe. The world feared a wider war that could spiral out of control. The Middle East was now a battlefield for direct high-tech warfare. The stakes had never been higher. The 12-day war left a devastating toll. Over 1,000 Iranians died in Israeli airstrikes, while Iranian missiles killed 28 Israelis. Israel also targeted and killed more than 30 senior Iranian military officials and 11 nuclear scientists, crippling Iran's leadership and scientific progress. The material damage was immense. Nuclear sites, command centers, and vital infrastructure in Iran were destroyed. The Haifa oil refinery strike disrupted Israel's fuel supplies and exposed vulnerabilities. Both sides depleted vast quantities of advanced missiles and interceptors, revealing a critical weakness. Stockpiles could run dangerously low in a prolonged conflict. The U.S. alone used up a quarter of its high-end interceptors, The war's cost was measured not just in lives lost, but in billions of dollars and years of progress erased. The region was left reeling, with economies and militaries strained to the breaking point. The true price of modern warfare was laid bare for all to see. The scars of the conflict would linger long after the fighting stopped. When the guns fell silent after 12 days, there was no real peace, just a fragile pause. No ceasefire was signed. The armies simply stopped shooting. The core issues remained unresolved, and both Iran and Israel still saw each other as existential threats. Israeli strikes set back Iran's nuclear program by up to 2 years, a major victory for Israel. But Iran retaliated by expelling international nuclear inspectors, plunging the world into uncertainty. The location of Iran's stockpile, about 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, is now unknown. With no outside monitoring, Iran's nuclear ambitions are more secretive and dangerous than ever. The war intended to halt Iran's nuclear progress may have made it harder to track. The nuclear shadow over the Middle East has only grown darker. Israel bought time, but Iran is now free to pursue its goals in secret. The fragile calm could shatter at any moment. The central question, how close is Iran to a nuclear weapon, remains unanswered. The crisis is far from over. Iran is not isolated. It has powerful friends challenging the Western order: Russia, China, and North Korea. These alliances are pragmatic, built on shared interests in countering US influence. North Korean technology has fueled Iran's missile program, while China supplies key components and buys Iranian oil, funding Tehran's military ambitions. After the 12-day war, Russia, China, and North Korea are expected to help Iran rebuild its arsenal and upgrade its defenses. China's economic support is vital, providing Tehran with revenue to sustain its military and proxies. The war in Ukraine has deepened Iran-Russia military ties, with Iran supplying drones and gaining valuable combat data in return. This cooperation allows Iran to study Western defenses and adapt its own strategies. Iran's alliances ensure it can withstand sanctions and continue projecting power. The axis of instability is reshaping the region's balance. Iran's friends make any future conflict even more unpredictable. The Iran-Israel conflict has left Gulf Arab states like Saudi Arabia and Qatar in a precarious position. Long reliant on the US for security, they now question the reliability of American protection. The Israeli strikes on Iran and Iran's retaliation against the Al Udeid base in Qatar exposed the Gulf to direct danger. A bombing in Qatar targeting Hamas negotiators, widely attributed to Israel, further eroded trust. Gulf states fear being caught in a war they cannot control, threatening their economies and stability. As a result, they are hedging their bets, maintaining US ties while opening diplomatic channels with Iran. Their strategy is de-escalation, seeking dialogue to lower tensions. Economic prosperity depends on regional stability, and war would threaten their future. The Gulf states now walk a tightrope, balancing alliances and survival. The region's fate hangs in the balance. The next move could determine the future of the Middle East. As of October 4, 2025, the Middle East is gripped by uneasy silence. Iran, with help from Russia and China, is rebuilding its military and missile defenses, determined to restore its deterrence. Israel and the US are also preparing, learning from the 12-day war's lessons. The conflict exposed the limits of their ammunition stockpiles and the need for deeper cooperation. Efforts are underway to create a unified regional missile defense network, linking Israel and friendly Arab states. The goal: deter Iran or, if necessary, withstand another large-scale attack. The unresolved issue of Iran's nuclear program adds a layer of uncertainty and fear. Both sides are rearming, planning, and bracing for the next confrontation. The calm is deceptive. The threat of renewed war looms large. The world watches, hoping for peace, but preparing for the worst.